welcome back to Let's Talk Arsenal. This is your host Dushan Gupta, and today we are going to talk about the breaking news: the Leah Williamson injury. That is a huge blow for Arsenal as we look to face Barcelona and Chelsea in the upcoming few weeks or months, as well in the Champions League and FA Cup final. So let's see. Hopefully, she will be fit for those two huge games that Arsenal face on. And in the rest of the podcast, we will be talking about Arsenal versus HB Koge. That Arsenal won 5-1 in the UEFA Women's Champions League, and the Arsenal Tottenham game in the WSL, which was a very tough and weird kind of a match. And lastly, we'll also take a preview on the look UEFA Women's Champions League match against Koge once again, but this time it will be the home leg at the Meadow Park. And joining me today will be Ria. You can follow Ria at Ria Rai Chaudhary. Hey, Ria, welcome back to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, Dushil. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. And today's breaking news: Leah Williamson injury, and by the looks of it, the update that has come in the update that women's have sent all the supporters is that it is quite significant injury. So, what do you make of the injury, and what do you think the timeline of the injury will be or could be?
Yeah, it's a very grim way to start the podcast, but it is what it is. It's a big blow to us. First of all, let's just start with that. There's no beating around the bush and being like, oh no, it's okay. We'll manage. But yeah, Leah Williamson is extremely integral to the Arsenal team, to the squad, and it's a big massive blow to us. But and as far as the injury timeline is concerned, well, hamstring injuries are never nice to have a player face, because the last time we had hamstring injury, Steph Catley was out for an entire season. Vicky Schneiderback was out for an entire season. We don't know the extent of Leah Williamson's injury. We hope she's back before the end of the season, but you never know with these injuries, because I think last season when Steph Catley had her injury, she came back for a couple of matches, and then it was found out that it was much worse, and then she had to get an operation. That was a whole thing. But yeah, I just hope Leah Williamson doesn't have it as bad, because like I said, she's extremely integral, and it's very unfortunate. It's never nice to have a player be injured, and when it's someone as strong as Leah Williamson, it's heartbreaking. Yeah.
Literally talked about as me and Rohan literally talked about in the last podcast as well with you as well in it, that Leah Williamson's impact at when Jonas Sandoval has come in, since the new coach has come in the Arsenal women's team, has been quite significant. The way she brings the ball from the defense, back from the defense, and goes on those crazy runs from the back, and then her long balls to the forward area or the wingers or the wing backs have been so influential. And if you look at the statistics, data analytics, and all that data science kind of a stuff, she's like second in WSL from all the players in the regards or at the how the impact her ball progressive carries, all that stuff that we go in depth and look at it. And Leah Williamson's impact on this team is quite huge, and we shouldn't take lightly, as you said, and the impact could be quite high. And as you said, the hamstring injury could be very tough to come back from, especially for a woman player as well, because I think as you and I have discussed in earlier podcast as well, the science data the physical approach or the taking care of the players and players coming back from the injury much earlier than anticipated is much more difficult in women's game as compared to the men's game. So this will be a huge blow with the crucial games coming up against Barcelona and the UEFA Women's Champion League and the FA Cup final against Chelsea as well. So those are the two games that I'm usually worried about for Arsenal women right now as of this moment. What do you make of that as well? Do you think that Leah Williamson will be back for those two crucial games?
Yeah, I don't think she's going to come back in December at least, which is extremely unfortunate for us because like you said, we have those two massive games. We have the FA Cup final and the Champions League um, group stage second leg. It's just a massive blow for us. I mean, like you said, she's so essential, not just in bringing the ball forward and her long balls, but she's been the, like, her name is Leah Williamson, amongst the fans, because she's so integral to that defense line. It's just, I think it's, you just can't ignore how massive she is for the Arsenal women. And as with regards to her taking more time because of the women's game, I think we've, like we discussed in the last podcast, I think we've done well
Mm,
uh, uh, with our medical team at
mhm,
Arsenal. So I don't think there should be as much disparity between the men's team and the women's team, the recovery and the what do you say, coming back on the pitch basically. But it is a tough injury. It
mm.
is a big one. It's not uh, an Achilles, which you stay in the boat for. I mean, Achilles can give you trouble as well, but then it's a big one. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, but the hamstring injury has different grades to it, as I have recalled and seen many different kinds of grades as to how bad the hamstring
Mm-hmm.
injury can really get. So it only says that it is a significant injury as of now. We don't really know how long she is going to be out, but by the sounds of it, it does sound like that it will be at least 1 month that Williamson will be out with that hamstring injury. Not more, not less, but I guess 1 month we can at least say safely that she'll be out with that
The thing
injury.
is, the thing is with we sort of have experience with Steph Catley and Vicky Schneiderbeck's injury, and each time the word significant has been used. So,
Hmm.
so fans, I think, are just a little, a little uneasy with
Hmm.
how vague that is. So
Hmm.
we can always hope for the best. Definitely, yeah.
Hmm.
We'll obviously pray that she comes back as quickly as possible. But yeah, we never know.
But in general, I also wanted to ask this question from various podcasts as well. This is a general women's football kind of question that I wanted to ask. Is that, do you think as I said, the medical staff or the recovery portion of the women's player side of the stuff takes a bit longer than as compared
Um,
to say men's side? Because I think
Yeah, I think we've all like one. We had spoken about this in one of our
hmm,
shows, and it was, the thing is there is very little research with regards to
hmm,
women's recovery and women's um, uh, and injury timings. Like there's very little research. There's very little done to know why these injuries are so often caused. Like for example, there was a time when ACLs would keep recurring.
hmm.
Back to back ACL injuries would happen very often amongst female footballers, and that to a certain extent in certain clubs has reduced because the research is happening now.
Hmm.
Uh,
Do
but
you
yeah,
do
of course,
do
there is a lack of research, but at the same time, I think it's getting better with the clubs, with certain clubs investing more with their medical teams and with the recovery process and
yeah
the research
that's what
behind it.
Yeah, that was my next question. Is regarding that? Is it the lack of investment in the recovery staff and medical staff kind of deal, or do you think the research hasn't happened on the women's player as much as the men's side of the football, that they don't know this kind of stuff or medical stuff related?
Well, to begin with, I'd say that it's not that I think that the research is less, because
Hmm.
it's based, like, it's evidential, like it is
Hmm.
less. Like, women weren't considered as professionals for a very long time,
Yeah.
as late to like 2012, 2013.
Hmm.
So there was no research. Men have been considered as professionals since the early 2000s. So there was absolutely no research done based on women's physiological needs, because sure, the game is different, but at the end of the day, yes, women do have different physiological needs and different recovery routines
Hmm.
which we need.
Hmm.
And um, so yeah, there was absolutely no research done. Things which were done with men and their um, recovery and their healing process, those were applied to the women, and that's obviously not going to work. So yeah, the clubs have started investing. I think Lyon is one of the biggest examples of that. Lyon started investing in their medical team much earlier than most clubs did, and
Hmm.
I think they are reaping the benefits of it. The US women's national team started doing it much earlier than the other women's national
Hmm.
teams. With Dawn Scott at the time being there, Dawn Scott, I think she's done a wonderful job in researching what women need physiologically. And so
Hmm.
yeah, research is coming up. There's very very little still,
Hmm.
but there is more interest. There is a gaining interest as more people are becoming aware of the problems within women's football. More people are taking up research work. More PhD students are taking this up as their thesis work. So yeah, the research is coming up. You are right on that, in the sense that women do take more time because there is a lack of knowledge over there.
Hmm.
But I think, yeah,
Yeah.
as I mean,
We are
Arsenal is
progressing
doing a
about.
good job. Yeah, yeah, Arsenal is doing a good job in the sense that we are moving in a very positive direction with regards to that.
And not only the medical side as well. Right now, the data side is also evolving for the women's football as well. I have
Hmm.
seen that one Twitter account on Twitter that does this data analytics stuff upon the women's football WSL. I think her name is Aldrosolite or something like that. She does this data analytics stuff, and I think that individually the clubs have gone more in depth and are doing this xg xa, what player is doing what exactly, and maybe that kind of stuff has also been slowly starting to introduce in the women's game as well, slowly and steadily, as you have seen the Sky Sports and more of the bigger platforms are also beginning to use that kind of stuff and introducing separate shows for the women's football WSL. And Dazen now, as we can see, they are hosting the Champions League for free on YouTube and on their channel. So these are the kind of stuff that will improve the women's game. The more the investment goes, the more it becomes better, and the more the players come back quicker. And right now, I want to know from you is that who do we play instead of Leah Williamson? As you know that she is one of the most influential players. So who do you think will be the considered her replacement? I know she can't be replaced, but who do you think will be in
Playing
charge?
that position. I think the obvious answer is lot of even more. Uh, we, I mean, there is no other player, I think, who is better fit than Lotte Gubbenmoy. Sure, she lacks in that experience that Leah Williamson has, and obviously the abilities of these two players are a little different. But I think Lotte Gubbenmoy is the most suited for that role, provided Jenny Beattie comes back. obviously Jenny Beatty is just out with like a cold or something of the sort, I think. So she will hopefully be back for the Champions League game mid week, but we'll just have to wait and see. And yeah,
Can
I think Lotte Moy will be the best in that position.
before
However, yeah.
Before you continue on, I got an update here right now from Tim Stillman regarding
Mhm.
Leah Williamson. He says that on Twitter right now, he is updated that Jonas Adeval has told him that Leah Williamson will undergo more tests in the upcoming days to establish a timeline, but she will likely not be back before Christmas. So that is a
Mhm.
huge blow for Arsenal
Mhm.
women's football. And as you said, the when is the FA Cup final game? Do you have any idea?
9th December.
So yeah, so she is going to miss
Yeah.
both the big games as we were talking about, and that's very bad news.
Yeah,
So
that is so. Yeah, like I said, I think the only person who is fit to take that position up is Lotte Bubenmoy. Obviously, last season we did see Leah Varty play at the back, and she did a pretty good job. But we'll just have to wait and see who Jonas Eidevall plays, whether he rotates that position, whether he brings back Anna Patton more. We'll just have to wait and see.
And Jonas Edewal has also said on the Leah Williamson injury, it's just a muscle injury. Of course, it's an overload issue. So, do you think
Mm,
that Leah Williamson has almost played all of the games for Arsenal
mm,
women's football as or the team, as you know? So, do you think that's the case here that she is overplayed her and maybe one more other players that we have overplayed so many times,
mm.
and now uh, as you said, the recovery time is so low for these women players, and their bodies are not used to playing such amount of football because
No, I think we're rephrasing sentences here. I didn't say that their bodies are not used to. What I said is that the research is not there for the recovery.
no,
Uh,
I'm just
it's
comparing it with
no,
the
no. It's no, no, no. The thing is,
Hmm.
these. It's not about whether the women are used to playing so much football or not. I mean, this is their profession. Of course, they're used to playing. But I think the problem happened with Gen BT going like being out for a little while. I think we could have not used Leah Williamson for the West Ham, the Koge matches. All throughout. But since Jenny Beatty, who is like such a moving presence as well in the back line, was missing, Vicky Schneiderbeck, she's not back yet because, again, another amazing defender that we are lacking because she came back from injury and then, but, got injured again. But that is very common to
Hmm.
come back from injury, play rigorously, and then get injured again.
Hmm.
So her injury is nothing to worry about. We are being told, but we still don't know when she'll be back. So
Hmm.
I think we are missing out a few key defenders, which is why Leah Williamson was so overburdened. And I think that is a risk we are taking with Noelle Maritz as well right now because she has started every single game. She's constantly playing. I do think we are underutilizing Anna Patton, and if it is about the experience, the lack of experience that Jonas is worried about, I truly and wholly believe that Lisa Evans should be called back then from her loan and should rotate with Noelle Maritz because she's a fabulous right back, and I think she'll do amazingly under Jonas Eidevall because her style of play aligns very well with his style of play.
Hmm.
But obviously, again, I mean, surely Jonas Eidevall knows much better than I do. But yeah, I
Yeah.
do think that Leah Williamson has been overburdened because we have so many defenders out right now. Had it not been the case, I don't think we would have faced this issue with Leah Williamson.
And I know this is very unrelated to Arsenal, but this is another breaking news that we might cover a bit. You can talk about her as well. Sam Kerr has signed a new deal with the Chelsea women until 2024. So, what's your take on it, and what do you think? What kind of player she is? Tell me a little bit about her as well.
First of all, I think that Sam Kerr signing a new deal for Chelsea was inevitable. She is the kind of player Emma Hayes wants in her team, and obviously Sam Kerr did not have the best start at Chelsea. She wasn't, she wasn't playing up to her potential initially, and then she obviously got injured, and COVID happened. But I think Emma Hayes had a lot of faith in her potential, and rightly so, because we know that the Fran Kirby and Sam Kerr partnership is extremely good and is good enough to burn through defenses very easily. Um, Second of all, I think that women, female footballers' contracts should be better looked after.
Hmm.
I think every single time we see a female player say, "Oh, so and so player has committed to her long term future at this club, and it is just
One
two
year
more
deal or
years,
2 years.
2 more years, or
Hmm.
3 more years at the most. Maybe like 2 or 3 seasons fall into that.
What
So
is the transfer record for a woman player in the uh, transfer window?
transfer record, as in.
What's the highest amount someone has paid for
Um,
a player? Do you
Chelsea
have?
paid last year for Pernilla Harder, which was 300K,
Oh,
and this year for Lauren James, but Lauren James is not. And I think Lauren James broke all record this season with Chelsea. I
hmm,
think hers was 325K, but the thing is, she has not played a single match. So
hmm, hmm,
she was obviously out with injury, but she has been benched for a few matches now.
hmm.
So I don't know why one Lauren James would choose to come to a club which already has
So many players, good
not
players.
so many players. Like, yeah, like potentially the world's best players at her position. Like, why would she want to choose a club which has, the likes of Pernilla Harder, Fran Kirby, Sam Kerr, um, at times Erin Cuthbert, who plays at the wings. So what I don't understand is why she would choose to switch from Man. I mean, I get the club thing. She is a Chelsea fan. She's through and through Chelsea, even though she grew up in the Arsenal academy. But I just don't get that transfer. I feel like she would have been able to do more at United than she is by warming the bench here. But
Hmm.
to each their own. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the highest. I think Lauren James is the highest transfer that's ever happened.
Hmm. So, okay, enough of the distraction stuff and talking about Chelsea, but let's get back to Arsenal. And as you said, the difficulties that we are having at right back and center back right now with Leah Williamson and Maritz being, being played every game right now. And as you said, we should recall Lisa Evans. I think that's a very good option. And uh, maybe something that Arsenal should consider, and calling back Lisa Evans would be the right move for me as well. And do you think? I wanted to ask this as well. Do you think? Do you know that the winter transfer window opens for the women's side as well?
Yeah, 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 yeah. We have one in Jan.
Okay, the same kind of days is does it work?
I'm not sure what the days are. I just know that it happens in January. So
Okay,
I'm not
so
not entirely
so
sure,
do you
because
think? Hmm.
that's when the American players usually come in, because their season ends soon. So once they get done with their club seasons, a lot of the American players come in at that point.
Mhm. So, do you think that there is some possibility that Arsenal may sign, let's say, a right back or a center back or some kind of a player to cover those positions in the hopes
Honest,
of? Mhm.
Honestly, I do hope so, because initially when this when our summer transfer window happened, I think all of us were hoping for a holding midfielder.
Mhm.
But now, with Leah Valti back in full form, and Manum also playing that role in certain formations and in certain matches, I think that problem has been solved, as well as Jordan Nobbs being back now, even though she's an attacking midfielder, but she can be used as a holding midfielder.
Mhm.
So can I think all of our midfielders can be interchanged except for me, maybe Mana, because I haven't seen her play in that role yet.
Mhm.
But we have seen Jordan Nobbs play as a defensive midfielder. We've seen Manom, we've seen Leah Vati, obviously, we've seen Kim Little. So we have the options, but
Hmm.
I still, so I think that problem has been solved, and I would really, really like to see us sign at least a right back.
Hmm.
Sure, Simone Boy Sorensen has come back
Hmm.
from injury, but I don't know how much of her we'll see as a starter, or maybe now because of the injuries and because of Jenny Beattie falling ill, maybe we'll see her more.
Hmm.
But I feel like we need, so like we have options at center back, but I
Hmm.
would like to see more options at right back. Yeah.
Okay. So do you know that the teams in the WSL often sign players in the winter window, or most of the signings are done in the January window only? Or have Arsenal signed any players in the January window previously as well?
I think Steph Catley was signed in
Okay.
no um I believe so, Steph Catley. I'm not sure because I started watching the WSL after her transfer happened. So I'm not sure when she was signed, but I feel like either Steph Catley or Noel Maritz were signed during the Jan window, but I can't be sure.
Mhm. Okay, that's good enough. But
Um, but
as
yeah, transfers do happen. Sam Kerr was a Jan
Mhm.
transfer to Chelsea, so transfers do happen. Abby Dalkemper last season for Man City came in during the January transfer. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Mhm. But as you said, you think that right back should be the most priority signing that Arsenal should be looking at in the winter transfer window as of now. Do you have any player in mind right now? Would that you would like to see Arsenal bringing, or any favorite player that you have in your short list?
I actually don't. I don't
Mhm.
have any shortlisted players um, because I don't really watch the American League, and they are the only one with
Mhm.
who might have free agents right now.
Mhm.
But we might call someone on loan from, say, uh, the thing is, all the names that are popping into my mind right now are playing really well for their
Yeah,
clubs.
yeah,
So I doubt they'll be willing to leave
yeah,
their own clubs and shift here. But I can't think of any right back who is being benched and is amazing.
yeah.
But I
I
just
just
have.
I just wanted to put you in a tough spot and see what happens, and maybe you come out with a surprise name
No,
that I
no,
will.
you know who has surprised me as a defender of late? I mean, she is a good defender. She plays for her national team, but Ria Percival from Spurs. I know you'll hate me for saying Spurs, but
No, no.
Ria Percival has actually really. I think she has upped her game a lot.
Hmm.
So has Maya Letizier for Manchester United. I think they are going really. Uh, Unnoticed, but yeah, they have been really doing really well for their own clubs. But I doubt they'll be willing to
Hmm.
leave their clubs
Yeah.
and come here. Yeah. So
Okay, so let's transition into games now that happened over the week. We played two games, and the first game was HB Koge. We traveled to Copenhagen and we dominated them totally. And we won 5-1 against HB Koge. We were literally going 2-1, 3-1, 2-0, and score lines like that. But yeah, Arsenal women just went on there and dominated. And what do you think about the support that they got there? I mean, that was pretty incredible. The fans that were supporting, I heard that there were like 500 fans or
hmm.
something like that that were supporting Arsenal women's in the behind the goal, and yeah, that was fantastic to see as well. What do you make of the match, and what do you make of the result?
Yeah, it was a fun match to watch. Obviously, the first half was a little it was a little frustrating to watch because there, and this is something I have maintained about Nikita Paris from the very start. She is a phenomenal player, and the reason why I am very quick to criticize her is because I know the kind of player she is. I have watched her play for Manchester City, and I mean, not live, but obviously like in the replays and stuff. And I know the kind of player that she is, and she is so clinical. And I am missing that with her in this in Arsenal. Like her runs, some of her passes are beautiful. Some of her dribbles are amazing, but nothing come off of them. And I'm just like, just shoot, just hit it, Nikita. Like just go for it. Don't wait for another player. Just take a chance, because regardless, it's going to, even if it doesn't go in, at least you've taken the chance. At least you're not losing the ball off. So that's the reason I'm always so critical of Nikita Paris. Second of all, I don't think uh, we our performance in the first half was as magical as the scoreline suggests. I think we had a little frustrating game until that amazing Steph Catley free kick, which was just, oh my god, that free kick was like sent from heaven. Um, so yeah, that after that, I think we really got charged up,
I
and I
mean,
think
that free kick might be amongst the goal of the season contenders for all
yeah,
the
a
Arsenal
hundred percent,
players.
a
Yeah,
hundred
that
percent.
was that was so
I
good.
think that day was the day of free kicks, because Steph
Yeah,
Curry
yeah,
and Alexia Putellas, they had insane free kicks, very like close to each other in time on the same day. So it was
yeah.
just amazing. It was just an amazing day for women's
Mm.
football. And yeah, so that free kick was insane. And I think after halftime, whatever Jonas said in that dressing room worked, because obviously Keats got her goal, which, oh my god, she deserves that so much. She's, like I said, she's a phenomenal player, but she's just been unable to score for us. And I think her reaction to her goal was encompassing of what it meant to her. Obviously, then Jordan Nobbs scored for us, and which was amazing. Um, Katie McKay, I think she scored
I
one
mean,
as
what a journey
Tuesday.
it has
Tuesday.
been for Jordan Nobbs, huh?
Yeah.
He's been injured and then not playing for so many games, and then coming back in the UEFA Women's Champions League and scoring for the first time. I think she started that game for the first time this season. Am I right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It was her first start since her injury,
I
I
mean,
believe.
that is so. It can get very emotional when after the game, maybe like
Hmm.
when she gets back to the dressing room and she just remembers all the tough times that she has gone through the recovery to get back on the pitch, and then literally the first game that she starts for the Arsenal women's team, she
Hmm.
scores instantly. I mean, that's for any
That's
player.
insane.
That's
Yeah. And
that's very.
especially for a player like Jordan Nobbs, who lives and breathes Arsenal. So I think it's
Yeah,
amazing
because
that.
what happened was how I knew know more about her is because of the Rob Holding injury. So what
Hmm.
happened was Rob Holding got
They were
injured.
recovering together.
Yeah, they were in the recovery together, and literally saw her, and they both were, communicating and as to giving both confidence as and recovering together, and that was so lovely to see, and the interaction that they had. And when Rob Holding got back on the pitch, and when he got back on the pitch, he literally scored in that game as well. And Jordan Noss was the literally phoned her or something like that, or messaged or tweeted her something like that along those lines, and she was like literally so happy for Rob Holding, and
Hmm.
she knew what they had gone together, and yeah, that was so beautiful to see as well. So that's one of the stuff that I really like, seeing the interaction and supporting Arsenal players through and through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's amazing to watch players, maintain that relationship after they've uh, crossed paths, because obviously, like you said, they've been through a lot together. So yeah, I I think that Jordan Nobbs, she needed that. She really did. She is so unlucky with her injuries, and obviously the England team. gets announced at I think 8:30 in IST. So I'm really curious to see if Serena Wiegman picks up Jordan Nobbs. Obviously, Leah Williamson was a massive part of Serena Wiegman's team as well. So that'll be a massive blow for her. So it's a lot for Arsenal fans today. If
Mhm.
obviously the Leah Williamson news is absolutely gut punching, but also everyone is just praying that Jordan Nobbs gets picked because she really really deserves it. Like she's missed out on so many major tournaments because of injuries and at unfortunate timing. Like the
Mhm.
timing has just been awful, and yeah, so big things hopefully for Jordan Nobbs.
Mm. But overall, good performance, dominating performance, as I said. Maybe the
Also,
first half.
I actually made a mistake and I said Katie McCabe scored. It wasn't Katie McCabe. It was Caitlin Ford who scored another goal.
Okay, okay,
Who scored
Caitlin Ford.
another goal.
I
Yeah,
mean, she's
and
whenever
and
I've
I'm
seen
just
her play Caitlin Ford. She always resembles like the boxing type of a girl. Like her body is so built up, and she looks like she's ready to do some WWE move or she.
Caitlin Ford.
Her body strength is so unbelievable for a woman player because as much as the women football I have seen, she is like one of those players like Drogba or the kind of player that I'm resembling or kind of have an image. So she resembles
I
quite
honestly,
a lot.
I honestly can't, like I get what you're saying, and I see Katie McCabe and Leah Williamson as players who are like that, like very tough and very, big and built up, and like I think every defender's nightmare or every attacker's nightmare is Leah Williamson or Katie McCabe. But I think, but I've never really thought about Caitlin Ford in that sense, but it makes sense. I do think she has history with playing Australian football, which is just kind of like rugby. I think she does have. I just need to double check that. But
Yeah. No, no.
yeah.
When she got into that Barcelona game, that's the game which I
Ah, okay,
mostly.
okay.
She was like really tough and breathing down her neck, physical, and just
Yeah.
making
I
a
think
nuisance.
I think she was asked to do that by Eunice. She was like, just take them
Yeah,
down.
yeah. She was like, just go attack, man. And she was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm ready to go and attack that defense. And yeah, I really like that sort of a different type of a forward as compared to Midima. But yeah, HP Koge, and it was a great match. And it was great to see Arsenal supporters supporting our women's team away from home as well. So shout out to all the Arsenal away fans there. It was great seeing that as well.
It was amazing. The atmosphere was just amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get transition into the Arsenal Tottenham game in the WSL. Oh my God!
Yeah. Okay,
Don't get me started.
I almost forgot, but I had a bone to pick with you. I asked you not to mention Viv and her scoring abilities last podcast, and you did. And fine, she scored at the NLD, but mm-mm.
I- uh,
Yeah.
Folks, I'm not safe. Please save me. I'm in danger right now. Ria is sending, a hitman after me. Please save me. Please. Chota Chetri is coming along
You
right
are
now.
you are lucky that Viv scored that equalizing goal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thumbnail for the YouTube video or YouTube video is Midima scoring that header. It is quite a good photo that taken by a photographer. It's like one of the things that you can stick in a museum and you can watch it over and over again. The
Yeah.
still image of Midima and 4, 5 Tottenham players around her and her scoring that late
That
equalizer for us and securing a draw in the WSL and keeping our unbeaten run on. So that's important. We are still unbeaten. So the Invincibles or the Arsenal women is still on.
we're still unbeaten, but
I mean,
we
it could
lost our
be.
winning streak.
I mean, it could be the first kind of a thing that both men's side and women's side have gone invincible in the league. I mean, that hasn't happened anywhere for any
How do
club.
you mean?
Like Arsenal men went invincible in the 2004 season, na? Back.
You mean simultaneously or
No, no, no.
separately?
Just
Yeah,
like
Arsenal
separate
women
years.
have done it as well.
Okay, they have gone invincible then.
Yeah,
I didn't.
yeah.
Okay.
The season that we won the quadruple, we went unbeaten in the league.
Okay, I didn't know that. So sorry for that.
Yeah,
So we have already achieved that deal. So hopefully we can do that again. Maybe
yeah.
we can be two times or two time invincible again. So that will be some kind of a record. But yeah, let's talk about the match. Before we talk about the match, let's talk about the referee. Oh my God, what a this is the worst performance from a referee that I have seen in a match. What
Yeah, no,
a
that's
referee.
because you didn't watch the Manchester City and Spurs match, but that I think that was even worse. But that's the thing with the women's game, right? Like you are improving the standard of the players, you're improving the standard of the management, you're improving their facilities, and things are improving, but you're not investing in your officials. They still have to have another job, they still have to work part time. How do you think they're going to focus on a match day, on a match entirely, when they are probably tired from doing their job either the day before or that, or maybe they, they had a half day in that day and they are coming and officiating. So how do you expect your officials to be efficient if you're not investing in your officials? So as much as I hated the referee, but I also understand that it is not entirely her fault. Sure, she's being called on to do a job, but at the end of the day, this is not her full-time job, and her attention or her training is not good enough. And it makes sense because this is not her full-time job, because these referees are not treated as full-time professionals. So yeah, definitely the referees need to be better, and I was really angry at the referee,
I
but
mean,
also
even if she isn't professional, you have to agree that the
yeah,
refereeing
yeah, 100. No,
in
no,
the
100%,
Arsenal
I
Tottenham game
agree.
was more towards the Tottenham side. This
I even made a post about it, and I 100% agree with you. I absolutely hated the officiating, and I disliked
I
the
mean,
referee
it
a
was
lot.
like
I didn't understand why
it
she was
was
doing
like
what she was
Spurs.
doing.
No, no, it was like Spurs paid extra money to the official in that
Mm, mm.
North London derby and said, "You give us every decision from now on and nothing to Arsenal." It was absolutely ridiculous. The amounts
Yeah,
of yellow cards we were getting, the amounts of free kick they were getting. I mean, what was going on? I was like literally in shock. I mean,
especially
I
with
had
the
to give.
Jordan Knobs goal, that was that. I think that was the tipping point, because we've seen pointless yellow cards being given, we've seen pointless free kicks being given before, but I
No,
think
no,
the tipping
like
point was that equalizing goal. You can't blow your whistle as the second the goal goes in. You play advantage, and it wasn't like it was a foul in favor of the Tottenham team. It was a foul in favor of the Arsenal team. You can show her the card after the goal goes in, but don't recall a foul which happened like 20 seconds
I
ago.
mead
That was
I
the
have
tipping point.
complaints when referee go against the Arsenal men's side and maybe we blow it up a tad bit more than it is required. The bad refereeing and the VAR and all that stuff that happens in the with us as well, and the amounts of cards that we get that we don't deserve absolutely. But seeing this refereeing, I was like, man, the men's refereeing is better than this. What is happening here right now? But yeah, what did you make of the match as a whole? It was like we. I'll give my thoughts a bit before you start talking more in depth. I just thought that Arsenal left the match empty-handed with only 1 point to their name. I think they missed a lot of chances
Hmm.
to finish off Tottenham, and we could have easily won that game 3-1. I think these are the kind of games that make a champion team. These are the kind of games that uh, you know. Uh, I guess test your championship winning ability. These kinds of games happen uh, where in football in general, if you're talking, I know the WSL has much less games, and there is less mistake to make in the WSL league. But yeah, these kinds of games are tend to happen when the team or the day or the football day is just not yours. I mean,
Mm,
how much you try, I mean, every football team in the world goes through this kind of a day when it's just not your day, and anything isn't going your way. You're hitting the crossbar, your the goalkeeper is like on a super level, something like that along those lines. And
mm.
it was just one of those days, and Arsenal women team literally responded. Our uh, goat, the team's goat, the one of you really respect and admire so much, Vive Medema responded. She took it up to herself and scored that much needed late equalizer. So that's for me is the indication that there is a winning mentality in the team that is much needed or much required. And yeah, you can tell now what you made of the game.
Okay, so I agree with pretty much what you said. I think you've covered quite a lot and most of it. Um, we were not good enough, that was for sure. But also, we've been playing consistently and multiple games. I think we had 5 games in um yeah, we had 5 games in, I think, a week and a half, and that's a lot. It's sure it is physically draining, and you can train to be as fit as you want to be, but it's also emotionally draining to have to travel to different countries in the middle, and then it is emotionally draining. So it's understandable that their performance wasn't 100% on that day, and it's like we don't expect them to win every
Hmm.
single game, although we hope they do, but there's always a chance that they won't. But I think what made me angry was that Rachel Williams goal for the
Hmm.
Spurs could have been avoided, because
Hmm.
if you go back and see the goal, Leah Williamson and Lotta Moy were just standing there. They were too slow to react, and that's how that goal went in. And I think that was because of the lack of communication. And it makes sense because Leah Williamson is more
Hmm.
used to playing with Jen Beatty than with Lotta Moy. But at the same time, when you're playing at that level, I expect you to not make those mistakes. But like you said, every team has those days.
Hmm.
Beth Mead had multiple shots, hit the crossbar, hit the woodwork, and just come back.
Hmm. I mean, did you
Um,
see that free kick that just I thought
oh
that
my god,
it went
I
in.
actually
I
thought it went in. I
yeah,
jumped
yeah.
thinking that it went in, but it didn't. And it was just it was hard to watch, because it's like
Hmm.
we every time we just came so close. We were like millimeters away from winning the match, and it just got taken away.
Yeah.
Um,
I
for
mean,
a multitude of reasons.
when the
Uh,
halftime ended 0-0, I was pretty sure that it was like it was going to be one of those days where it is just meant to be for us. This evening, this derby win is not there to be won. It's
yeah.
just, you can just tell by the the type of game that you are playing or the luck that you are having in the match. You can just tell. I mean, I've
I
been
think
watching football for now over like 10 11 years now, I guess. And yeah, you can just tell by the looks of it like this that it is going to happen.
yeah, like I think we played attacking football still, but we lacked that viciousness,
Hmm,
like
hmm,
that. Oh, this needs to go in. It was just like, it can or cannot go in. It's fine by us.
hmm,
It was more like one of those days. But obviously, with that injury time winner, I'm not winner, sorry, equalizer, but
equalizer.
that was massive. I think every single Arsenal fan around the world, whoever was watching, screamed
No, no,
and they
I
screamed.
was like on
Screamed.
Twitter going Medima, and my keyboard didn't know what to do, and I was like zero ones, and everything was going along into that Medima screaming her name on Twitter, and I was really happy when I was pretty sure that we were going to score a goal because of the amount of pressure that we were starting to put on them in the last, I guess, 10 to 15 minutes. You can say that,
Yeah.
and I think it was coming
I
along.
think I think with all the decisions that went against us in the last 20
Yeah,
minutes,
we pretty deserve.
the players really got mad at the referee. I think it
Yeah.
was the goal was more to show the referee that we were capable enough,
I mean,
in spite of the bias.
if the referee had disallowed that goal, I mean, maybe Katie McCabe had gone to the ref and maybe just
Yeah.
WWE moved him and just kicked her head off or something
And
like
this
that.
and to be fair, the Tottenham women's team played well, because even when Arsenal women would play like maybe at a 70%, Tottenham women
Mhm.
would not up their game. And I think
Yeah, I was
having
pretty surprised
having
to hear that their position in the WSL, if they had won that
is
game,
third.
they would have gone second in the league.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
right? Yeah.
definitely. They would have,
So,
but at the same time, they would have gone up second only because Chelsea were
yeah, yeah, yeah.
had a game in hand. But yeah, definitely, I think Rianne Skinner is doing an amazing job at the club. Like, sure, a lot of their wins or a lot of their draws, you can attribute it to just pure luck, given
Mhm.
that Man City winning goal, or the United equalizer, or whatever it is. But at the same time, to have that mentality of not giving up, I think Rianne Skinner has really brought in that to her team. And we can't discredit, and they've learned from the men, definitely, because a lot of time wasting happened in that game, which nothing would have happened. I remember very vividly Jordanovs yelling at one of the Tottenham Hotspur women who was lying on the ground, clutching her head. And because you don't see this happening in the women's game, you don't see a player go up to another player and, attack them like that. And truly, nothing had happened. I don't know why she was lying down. Nothing had happened. The replays will show you that. But yeah, that was a really
I
funny
mean,
moment.
it must be like Harry Kane must have taught them special tactics to go down whenever they come in contact with an Arsenal player.
But
I mean,
she
that's
wasn't
what
even in contact. Nothing happened, and
I
she
mean.
was down.
That's
And,
what Spur players do. It's in their DNA.
and it
We
was so funny because, like, I get what you're saying. It's in the DNA, but this is never. I very rarely have seen this happening. It was so funny to me because, like, Jordan Nobbs, who is, she's a feisty player, and she doesn't like people, screwing around. So it was really funny for me to watch.
I mean, even we had a WWE mini match in the match
Katie
with
McCabe. Yeah.
Katie McCabe tussling around with one of the
Tottenham. Yeah.
Tottenham players, and it was it was exciting to see some kind of rivalry going
There
around
was
in
a
the
lot of
men's game as well. Some fighting and some passion going around. Because I haven't seen that as far watching the game. All I have seen is that all the players are just getting along well, playing well, and there is all love and support going around between all the fans. So I just want to see some, rivalry, some action, some fiery moments, and Katie McCabe is just going around and punching people in the faces.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. Kate McCabe looks like, uh, she is the nightmare of defenders and attackers alike. So yeah.
Hmm. But yeah, it was a very interesting, very difficult, very weird kind of game. As I said in the starting of the podcast, as I said, these are the games that make champions. And as we know that Chelsea that had their game won their remaining game easily for 4-0 against City. I mean, we had hopes that City might draw against just Chelsea, but the hopes were washed out pretty quickly,
I
and they
think
are just.
mixed with how awful Gareth Taylor is, and how much they're lacking Steph Houghton's leadership. I think City is, yeah, it's battling for relegation, which is shocking because,
Hmm.
you don't
I
see
mean,
City battling for relegation.
in a good piece of news, you may not like the news. Liverpool, who's in the championship, I think in the WS,
Mm-hmm.
you may call it. They are in at the top, and it looks like they might get promoted next season, which will be good to see back. Have
Hmm.
Liverpool back in the WSL, and hopefully we can see them back.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why you think it's going to make me sad. It won't.
No, no.
But
So you were just very angry regarding the Liverpool
no,
not supporting the women's football, and
yeah,
it was.
100%, because it shouldn't be in the position that it is in, and it makes me happy that the players are at least willing to take up that responsibility, and the management is willing to take up that responsibility and help themselves, because there is very little help from the club. I still stick by what I said, and um, it's good. I mean, if they do get promoted, then the club comes under direct pressure to now treat them as full professionals. So I would love to see them back in the WSL.
Hmm. Uh, let's do the preview of the next match that is tomorrow again. The women's team, Arsenal women's team, is back in the UEFA Women's Champions League, and again it is HB Koge once again, but this time we face them at our home, that is Meadow Park. It is at Meadow Park, right? The game, or
Yeah.
is it at?
No,
Okay.
no, no. It's at Meadowpark.
So yeah, so Meadow Park, and we are back in the Champions League. So, what's your preview for this game, and what do you think uh, of the game? Yeah.
I think Koga will have come back with better tactics, maybe.
Hmm.
More of what they did in the first half against us.
Hmm.
Last week's prediction for the Koge lineup was completely off. Like
Yeah.
I feel like how we shuffle music on Spotify. I think Jonas just hit on shuffle and just picked players who came up.
It was like he put names in a ball and just picked up whoever's name came up and just put him in the
Yep,
starting
put them in
lineup.
the starting. Yeah, that's how it felt. It was way off.
Yeah.
Um, but it's going to be interesting to see if Koge have go back to there, because the manager did say we were Barca light, which a lot of fans took offense to. But honestly, I was really proud of it, because let's be honest, Barca really are a very, very talented team. I think we shouldn't be upset that we were called Barca light. We shouldn't be proud either, but I think we should take it with a pinch of salt. Um, it's they have so much talent. They are doing amazingly well. So I don't know if they'll go back to how they played against Barca and go back to their 5-4-1 formation. Um, but hopefully not, because that's an extremely tough formation to beat, especially as Arsenal fans will know, we don't really have a good history with that. We have won matches with that formation, against that formation, but yeah, it's not a pretty match to look at. So I think we've done everything right against them. So I don't think much needs to change in terms of tactics. Just bring back that cutting edge of this needs to go in. Every ball needs to go in. Like that was missing from the Tottenham game. But again, it's understandable. They were tired, emotionally drained, physically drained. So it's understandable. But yeah, I just want to see that back.
Yeah, and let's do the predicted lineup for the game. I think I'll go with the previous match
Previous.
day lineup, whatever it was. I think in place of Leah Williamson, we will put obviously a center back right now, someone like not who will be at center back. Yeah, woman boy, and with her will be, I think, who will be with her.
I don't
You
know.
can.
Oh, okay. Shall I just start telling you my predicted
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
lineup?
You can do yours
Okay,
because
so
mine will
okay,
mine will be yours only. So
okay.
it doesn't make any difference.
Okay, so I think we are going to see Zinsberger start.
Mhm,
She didn't start the last game, but against Kohe, but I think she'll start.
mhm,
Um, we don't really have much options in right back, so I think we'll see Noel Mills again.
mhm,
Um, I would like him to start Anna Patten, but I don't know if he will.
Hmm.
In place of Leah Williamson, I think it'll be Lotte Ruben Moy. Hopefully,
Hmm.
Jen Beatty will be back for this game, and if she's not, then I think Simone Boyce Sorensen will be taking her place.
Hmm.
Um, then Steph Catley at left back. Uh, Midfield, I think it will be Frida Manom. I do think that he's going to start Mana in place of Kim Little because she's started back to back games.
Yeah,
So
we
I
don't
think
want another injury right now, and especially someone
Kimmy,
like
yeah.
Kimi, who was down in the match against Tottenham as well. So glad she jumped back in the match as soon
Yeah.
as possible. So yeah.
So I think so I think it's going to be Mana and it's going to be Jordan Nobbs. So
Hmm.
Mana and Jordan Nobbs in the midfield. And in the front, oh, it's always the front three that confuse
Yeah.
me because we have
Yeah,
so many
no, but
options. So
for the front, I think with Manchester United coming in the horizon, I think it is the perfect time to give Tobin Heath some starting time. I think she will be very ready and fired up with the Manchester United coming next. So I think it's the perfect
yeah,
time to give
I'd
her some
like
time.
Tobin to start, but I don't want her to. I don't know. I don't know how far. Like because she's just coming back from injury, I think. And she didn't get any minutes in the last game, so I would like her to come in as a substitute,
Hmm.
just because she needs those minutes to get her going.
Hmm.
And I'm not still sure that we can risk because Tobin, she doesn't just get injured. She gets injured. Like she gets injured for a long time. So I don't want any prolonged uh, issues happening. So yeah, I think we're going to see Caitlin Ford, Viv Miedema, and Nikita Paris in the
Yeah.
front. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay. And let's go with the predicted score for this time. What are you going with this time around?
I think we'll keep a clean sheet.
Mhm.
I'm going with 4-0.
Okay. My predicted score, and it's a 50 rupees bet again with Ria, but because we don't win
We
any.
lose
So,
every single time, so there's no
yeah,
point
so
placing
no,
bets.
it's a good point. We make 50 and we keep 50. So that it's a good hera fairy bet that we are making. It is we are doubling our money every time. So this is a good bet. So my predicted score for the tomorrow's game will be 3-0. I will be going with another clean sheet. I think it would be a good easy win for us, and hopefully another win at the Meadow Park. And do you want to
Oh,
continue?
just in, I think I don't know if
Yeah,
you've checked Twitter.
yeah. Just
Um, yeah, Jordan Obbs
Jordan
has
Hobbs.
been
Yeah,
picked, which is amazing. I'm so excited
yeah.
about it.
So
Yeah,
let's clap for Jordan
yeah.
Hobbs being selected for the England women's squad, and that is a great news. She just came back from injury, and she has been picked for the England national squad, which is a great news for for her. And we just wish all the best for her
Yeah,
upcoming qualifiers
absolutely.
for the
She
FIFA.
absolutely deserves it.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about the United game right now or later on?
Um, sure. If you'd like to cover that,
Okay, so let's quickly jump
we
on to
just quickly, yeah, we just quickly
yeah,
do an
yeah,
overview.
overview about the Manchester United game, which is away from home. So, what's your take on Manchester United and how they are doing so far in the WSL? And yeah, what's your take on the game as well?
They're as far as the performance is concerned, they're actually doing worse than I had expected them to do.
Hmm.
With the potential that they have, with the players that they have, they absolutely do not, deserve the position that they are in. They are currently, I think, in fifth. Fifth. Yeah, I think they're in the fifth position
Yeah,
in the
fifth
table.
position, we're 12 points right now. Yeah.
Yeah, they lost unnecessary points against Tottenham, and I can't remember who they tied with the other team. Um, Let me just check, and I'll.
They tied with Everton, then
Yeah, there
tied
was
with.
no, there was
Mm,
absolutely no need for them to tie with Everton, because it was um it was a really, it should have been an easy win. They couldn't hold on to their
mm,
uh, lead. So,
mm.
and that has been their problem. So, but I won't say big things against them, because then I'll end up jinxing us.
Yeah.
But United have a lot of potential.
Mm,
If Mark Skinner decides to turn it on at 100%, I think they are a formidable team. They have amazing talent. They
mm,
have the likes of Alessia Russo. Obviously, they have Maya Letizier, who we talked about. They have Ella Toon. They have Katie Zellum and Ona Battier, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the league right now. But she is so good. Like, she's such a good player to watch, and it just speaks to the kind of team that Spain are at the moment, because
mm,
she's obviously a Spanish international.
mm.
So yeah, they have some super quality players, but yeah, it's they're underperforming right now. It might play into our advantage, but we have a history of teams showing up at 100% against us. So
Mm.
nothing can be
Yeah, yeah. Not, the thing is
sure.
given right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have the quality.
Mm,
They just It's about whether they show up or not.
mm. Okay, so that's our overview. Your overview on the Manchester United game. Your predicted lineup will be the same, or would you make any changes to the?
I think for Man United, I think we'll have McNeedama in the front, my favorite.
Mm,
Um, and for the midfield, I think we'll have Kinney, Jordan, and Leah Valti.
mm. And
And
the defense is pretty much
yeah, it's pretty much,
Faith Gately.
unless we choose to play Leah Valti as a defender, and then if she moves back as defense, then I think we'll have Manum in the midfield. But again, I also don't want Manum to overstress herself. So
Mm.
we'll see.
Yeah, so that is interesting because I thought that Leah Welty can also play in the defensive area. That was one of my thoughts as well, going through, as you also mentioned in previous shows as well, that she can play as the center back. So that is another option that maybe Jonas has in his back pocket to replace
Yeah,
someone like Leah Williamson, who
yeah,
will be missed dearly because she will
so
be
much.
so much because her influence is so high, and especially
Yeah,
with the tough games coming up, it will be difficult for her defense to keep a clean sheet going forward. As you know, she is the leader at the back for us,
yeah.
so hopefully we keep our clean sheets going forward with tough games on the horizon. On the
We
horizon,
need that golden glove for our
yeah.
goalkeepers.
Zinsberg,
Zinsberg.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will be an interesting match. But my favorite player to look out for the Manchester United match is obviously none other than Tobin Heath. I think
Mhm.
he will
Yeah,
be.
that's going to be fab. Actually, I keep Tobin aside because of her injuries, but
Mm,
I genuinely would like to see Tobin Heath start against Manchester United, because she's amazing. So
no, she is amazing, but it will also be a little spicy to see Tobin Heath back where she was previously playing in the
yeah.
WSL, and she will have a point to prove against Manchester United, who many supporters I have heard that said that she was not the best for them or something like that
I
along those.
mean, they stopped winning when she got injured, so I guess we'll just leave it at that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Tobin Heath will have a point to prove against them, and hopefully she scores good goals and gives assist against Manchester United and proves them wrong. So that was today's podcast. We covered a lot of details, but the most disappoint we had literally like we went from disappointing stuff at the beginning to the happy stuff in at the end. Like we started with the Leah Williamson injury update, and now we've got Jordan Noves coming back into the English national squad. So like totally we have covered it all today. So that's good news for us. So thank you for joining Ria today in today's Awesome Women's podcast. And hopefully, I don't know when we can talk next because as you told me previously, you are busy with your work. So hopefully we will get to talk soon. You can follow Ria at Ria Rai Chaudhary on Twitter. And Ria, thank you for coming on the podcast once again.
Always happy to be here. And yeah, hope we win a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So that was Ria, and we will see you. We will talk to you later. And if you guys liked today's podcast, make sure to drop a like on today's video on the YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Dushant AFC. You can follow Ria at Ria Rai Chaudhary. And that's it for us today on today's Awesome Women's podcast. And we'll talk to you later. And we'll see you later. Till then, come on, you gunners. Peace.